Okay, so I already expressed to you guys in class that I didn't like the fact that the review didn't go over any of the distributed practice. So I'm recording this video specifically for the corrective. So that way, when you do the retest, you'll be able to do it a lot better. So in chapter 1, we talked about 5 different types of functions, and one of them was the absolute value. So you have to know the name of the function, you have to know the equation, and then you have to also know the shape of the picture. So it's going to be name, equation, and picture. So I'll go over all 5 of them with you in case you forgot. So the absolute value is this first one. Absolute value, I'm just going to abbreviate absolute value. In an absolute value equation, you have to have an x, but the thing that makes it absolute value is it's got these bars. And so the picture is just a V shape. So when it says draw an absolute value, you just put a dot somewhere and draw a V shape and you're good to go. Now on the test, it's going to show you a picture and then you have to tell me the name of it. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one we had was called quadratic. And a quadratic also has an x, but the thing that makes it quadratic is it has an exponent of 2. So anything with an exponent of 2 is considered to be a quadratic. The picture is similar to the V shape, except it's got this starting point, but it's curved. So it looks more like a U shape. The next shape we'll go with is cubic. So a cubic graph or a cubic equation is going to be anything that has an x in it, but this time it's going to have an exponent of 3. So the picture for it, it's going to have the same starting point, and then we're going to curve up on this side. Now, a quadratic would curve up on the left side, but a cubic actually flips over and points down instead. Okay, so then the next one is going to be the square root. So the x is going to be like this, and then the shape or the thing in the equation that makes it a square root is the square root symbol. And that shape has a dot, and then it just kind of curves up and to the right. The last one is called the cube root. The cube root has an x, but this symbol is a little different because it has a 3 here. Now, a square root has a number there, but when it's blank, it's understood to be a 2. We just never write the 2, so I'm going to take that off. Now, the shape for that picture is similar to a square root shape, except it gets the left half also. So there's your 5 shapes, your 5 equations, and your 5 names. Study those and know those for the retest. Okay, next equation, it says determine the x-intercept for the function below. There's 2 different ways you can find the intercept. I'll show you one way. Every single intercept is going to have an x value of 0. So anytime you have an x-intercept, your x value is going to be 0. So what you can do is you could just plug in 0. So if I plug in a 0 into the problem, plus 4 on the inside and then plus 5 on the outside, this right here is going to be negative square root of 4 plus 5, and then we end up with 3. So our final answer to this question is going to be 0, 3. Now, the second way you can do this problem is you can actually go into Desmos. You can go into the graphing calculator, and you could just type in the function. So we had, I forgot what it was, x plus 4 on the inside. Let me put that on the inside, x plus 4. And then we have plus 5 on the outside. So the intercept is going to be anywhere it touches the y-axis. So you can see that that answer is still 0, 3. So either way you do it, the final answer is going to be 0, 3. Now, a lot of people on the test, they got this wrong because they told me the k value. So that k value, it's just the y point of the starting point of the shape. So that's not what we're looking for. Okay, next, a little bit of geometry review. So you got to know your circle stuff. So if you have a circle, there's a point that goes from the center to the circle, and we call that the radius. Now, if we were to put a second radius going across this way, all the way across the circle is called the diameter. So to find the area of a circle, we use this formula. It's A equals pi r squared. Now it tells us that the diameter is 8. So all the way across this circle from here to here is 8. But the formula uses an r, so we need to know the radius. So that means that this half has to be 4 and this half has to be 4. So then I could just go and plug my 4 in. So if I put a parentheses here, I'll put a 4 right there. Pi is in the front. Type this in the calculator and you get 16 pi. And then if you want to go even further, I think this is okay though, but if you want to go even further, you can substitute in 3.14 in for pi. I don't think you have to though, because I think the test leaves it in terms of pi. Okay, and then number 21, it's a review question. It says, given the functions above, evaluate f of 0. So you have to remember what these instructions mean over here. If there's a number, you have to start with the letter that's closest. So if you notice, there are 3 different functions here. The thing about that though is the instructions use an f twice. So that means we don't need h and we don't need g at all because they don't have it listed anywhere in the instructions. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug in f of 0. F of 0 would be 3 times 0 plus 7. And if you do that in the calculator, you're going to find that the answer is 7. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take that result and you're going to plug the result into the second equation. The second equation on the far left is f. So now we're going to go into the f problem again, but this time we're going to take this answer and we're going to put it inside of f. So my problem is going to say 3 parentheses plus 7, and then I'm going to put in a 7 here. And if you type this into the calculator, you end up getting 28. So our final answer is 28. So again, the most important part of this problem is the instructions. I'll show you another example real quick. I'll make it pretty easy. So let's say I had f of g of, we'll do f of g of 3. So in this problem, we have to start with g because it's closest. So we're going to find g of 3. So I would do square root parentheses minus 3. We put in a 3 there, type that in the calculator, and you get an answer of 0. Now, because I'm doing f and g, that means I don't need h at all. So I can actually cross that out. So now, since I did the g problem, I need to put the result into the f problem. So if I go into my f problem and I take this answer and plug that in, now I find f of 0. So f of 0 would be 3 times 0 plus 7. Type that all in the calculator, and the answer is just 7. So that's how you do these two-steppers. So hopefully that helps with the last section of the test. I anticipate those scores going up when we take the retest.